Question 1. X plus y equals 75. The equation above relates the number of minutes x that Maria spends running each day and the number of minutes that y that she spends biking each day. In the equation, what does the number 75 represent? So let's look at the options. The number of minutes spent running each day. Running is x. This would be x. Biking each day, this would be y. So these are not the answer. Total number of minutes spent running and biking, this would be x plus y. And x plus y is 75. So this is the answer. Total number of minutes spent biking for each minute spent running seems kind of a long-winded, but what they're saying is biking for every running, y over x. But that's not what the 75 is, so the answer is C. Question 2. Which of the following is equivalent to this? So we distribute the 3, you get 3x plus 15 minus 6, and then we combine this 15 and minus 6 to get a plus 9. So the answer is C. Question 3. So we have a system of equations. One way is to solve the system of equations to get the answer. But for these kinds of numbers, it might be faster to plug it in. So let's plug in A into here, where the first number is x and the second number is y. So x, which is negative 3, equals y, which is 0, minus 3. This is true. So A is so far okay. Let's plug A into here. Negative 3 over 2 plus 2 times y, but y is 0, equals 6. 2 times 0 is 0, and you have negative 3 halves equals 6, which is false. So A is not our answer. And we can keep going, and let's look at B. 0 equals 3 minus 3, which is true. Let's try it over here. 0 over 2 plus 2 times 3 equals 6. 0 over 2 is 0. And you have 6 equals 6, which is also true. So B is the answer. And similarly, if you check C into here, it won't work. And if you check D into the first equation, it won't work. So the answer is B. Question 4. Which of the following complex numbers is equal to this whole thing? And I is the root of negative 1, so I squared is negative 1. But let's just start distributing this negative sign. So 5 plus 12i minus 9i squared plus 6i. If you keep going, you get 5 plus 12i minus 9i squared plus 6i. And this I squared is negative 1. So let's put that in. And you end up with 5 plus 12i plus 9 plus 6i, and now we combine some terms. 5 and 9 will give you the 14, and this is 18i. So the final answer is D. Question 5. If f of x equals all this, what is f of negative 1? So we plug in negative 1. F of negative 1 would be negative 1 squared minus 6 times negative 1 plus 3 over negative 1 minus 1. Okay. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. This is plus 6 and plus 3 over negative 2, which comes out to 10 over negative 2, which comes out to negative 5. So the answer is A. Question 6. A company that makes wildlife videos purchases camera equipment for $32,400. The equipment depreciates in value at a constant rate for 12 years, after which is considered to have no monetary value. How much is the camera equipment worth 4 years after it's purchased? And we have some options here. So, and this has to be done with no calculator. So one thing we can do is explain what's going on. So this is time in years, and this is dollars. And so when they first got the camera, it's worth $32,400. And after 12 years, it's worth nothing. And it depreciates at a constant rate, so it's a line. So here's a line. And so the real question is, what's it worth after 4 years, which is here? And we have to notice that 4 is 1/3 of the way towards 12. So really, what's it worth after it loses 1/3 of its value? Okay, and this has to be done with no calculator. So we have to take 32,400 and subtract 1/3 of itself away. Now you could do 32,004 times 2/3, but one way to do this is to divide this by 3, and we have to do this with no calculator. So perhaps a good way to do it is to think about 324 divided by 3, and if that's not so readily available, 300 divided by 3 is 100, and then 24 divided by 3 is 8. So you get 108. But really what I'm doing, let me show you the mechanism. 324 over 3 would be 300 plus 24 over 3, which is 108. 100 plus 8. So that's how I got 108. And so there's 2 extra zeros, so it's 10,800. In other words, the camera will lose 10,800 of value in the first 4 years. So now all we have to do is subtract that from the original number. So we have to do 32,400 minus 10,008. You can subtract it in any way you know how to subtract numbers, but really we can just take 32,400 and subtract 10,000 first. Don't worry about the other 800 bucks. Subtract 10,000 and you get 22,400, which is already very close to C because the other numbers are all way off. And then 22,400, when you subtract the other 800 bucks, you're going to get 21,600. So the answer is C. Or you could do 22,400 minus away 800, and you should get 21,600. Whichever way you're comfortable subtracting numbers, this will give you 21,006. Question 7. Which of the following is equivalent to this expression above? Okay, so we have to know how to expand this. And let's talk about that over here. X plus 3 squared. If you're comfortable expanding it immediately, you can just get the answer. But let me show you what's happening. It's x plus 3 times x plus 3, which is x squared plus 3x plus 3x again. This was the other 3x plus 9. And you get x squared plus 6x plus 9. Similarly, if you expand the other one, you would get, that's x plus 3, x minus 3, sorry, x minus 3, x minus 3, and you get x squared minus 3x minus 3x again plus 9, and you would get x squared minus 6x plus 9. If you can expand these mentally without any work, that's great, but let's put these over here. So option A and B will be using this first one. So this is x squared plus 6x plus 9, and then there's a plus 5 at the end, only because that's what they have here. X squared plus 6x plus 9 minus 5. You can already see the answer is B, but let's look at what's wrong with the rest. X squared, this one's minus 6x, so this one would be using this. Minus 6x plus 9, and then there's an add 5 at the end. X squared minus 6x plus 9, and then minus 5. Okay, so we would like to end with the plus 6x. We would like to have plus 6x. And these have minus 6x, so these will never, these aren't the answer. And finally, if we add up this plus 9 plus 5, you get a 14. And this one, you get a 4. So the answer is B. Question 8. Ken is working this summer as part of a crew on a farm. He earned $8 per hour for the first 10 hours he worked this week. Because of his performance, his crew leader raised his salary to $10 per hour for the rest of the week. He saves 90% of his earnings from each week. What is the least number of hours he must work the rest of the week to save at least 270 for this particular week? Okay, so what does he earn? He earns $8 for the first 10 hours. That's $8 for the first 10 hours. And then $10 for the remaining hours that he works, which we're trying to solve for. Let's call that X. And then this is what he earns, but he doesn't save all of it. He only saves 90% of it. And 90% you can write it as 0.9. You can write it as 9/10. Let's write it as 9/10. And then this is what he would save, at least 270. So this is going to be at least 270. Even if you use an equal sign, it's fine because we're just trying to get the number. So so now we will multiply both sides by 9/10. Sorry, by 10/9. Multiply both sides by 10/9. Rather than distributing, if you distribute, you're going to get 72 and 9x, which is one way to do the problem. But you won't have very nice numbers later. You can try that way, and you might prefer this way. So times by 10/9, times by 10/9, times by 10/9, and these are gone, and you'd have this left, which is 80 plus 10x, at least equal to. Now we have to do this without a calculator. 270 times 10 is 2700 divided by 9. This is 300. Subtract 80, you should get 10x is at least 220. Divide by 10, x is at least 22. So the answer is C. Question 9. Marissa needs to hire at least 10 staff members for an upcoming project. The staff members will be made up of junior directors who will be paid $640 per week, and senior directors will be paid $880 per week. Her budget for paying the staff members is no more than $9,700. She must hire at least 3 junior directors and at least 1 senior director. Which of the following systems of inequalities represents the conditions described if X is the number of junior directors and Y is the number of senior directors? Now, we have 4 options, and they all look very similar. They all have the same numbers. The only difference is the inequality signs in all of them. So what we can do is start to eliminate. At least 10 staff members. So we need at least 10. This one says at most 10. That's out. This one says at most 10. That's out. So we're left with 2 options. Okay. Her budget for paying the staff members is no more than $9,700. No more than looks like this. No more than. So at most. This one says at most $9,700. That's good. This one says at least, and that's bad. So the answer is B. There's no need to look any further. Question 10. We have all this equals to 0. In the equation above, A, B, C, and D are constants, so they're just numbers. If the equation has roots -1, -3, and +5, which of the following is a factor of that above? Okay, so let's take a look at what it means to be a factor. Let's look at an example. Separate question, not related. Here's just an example. If you had an equation x squared, let's say plus 2x minus 24 equals 0, One way you would solve this would be to factor it, and you would get x plus 6, x minus 4 equals 0. And when you solve this, you would get negative 6 and 4. I'll show you why. Let's do the zero product property. X minus 6 equals 0. X minus 4 equals 0. And you get x equals negative 6 and 4. Okay, so those are the roots. You can say the roots are negative 6 and 4. But let's look higher. What are the factors? The factors are x plus 6. Let's just write down x plus 6 and x minus 4. So if you knew the factors, you could find the roots. But now we're given the roots and we have to list out the factor. You're given a root, you can list out a factor. So based on that, if you have a root, let's say your roots are, let's use this problem, negative 1, negative 3, and 5. You can write down the factors. It's x minus each of them. For negative 1, this x plus 6 comes from x minus negative 6. That's where it comes from. So it's x minus everything. X minus negative 1, which is x plus 1. From here you get x plus 3. And from here you get x minus 5. So we know these are the factors. And of all these, the only choice they have is option B, which matches this. They don't have this. They don't have this to choose from. So the answer is B. Okay, question 11. The expression all this, where both are more than 1, is equivalent to which of the following choices? Okay, there's an exponent of half here and 1/3, and so let's look at what those look like. If you have any number to the 1/3, that's the cube root of a. And if you have any number to the 1/2, that's the square root of a. And in general, if you have a number raised to a fractional exponent of m over n, that is the nth root of a to the m. Okay, and that's going to come in handy when we rewrite these in radical form. So let's look at what we have. We have this. There's a y to the half right there, y to the half. So that will be square root y. And we took care of that already. There's the x to the 1/3. That's going to be cube root x in the denominator. We took care of that also. Now we have these negative exponents. So whenever you see a negative exponent, you can move it to the other side and change the sign. So x to the negative 2 will show up on the bottom as x to the positive 2. That's done. And y to the negative 1 will show up on the top as y to the positive 1. The 1 is invisible. And so this is the answer. And this matches option D. So the answer is D. Question 12. The function f is defined by all this. It is a parabola. Which of the following intervals contains the x-coordinate of the vertex? Okay, this graph here is given to you in this form. You can find the x-intercepts. You set these to 0, and you would get one of the intercepts. And you set the other one to 0, and you would get the other intercept. So this particular parabola will look like this, -3, -1, and it opens up because the leading coefficient is a positive number, so this graph will open up so it looks like this. Let me draw a line in the middle because the parabola is symmetric, and this is at -2, so the parabola will look like this, roughly speaking. It's a bad drawing, but the vertex is here, in the middle of -3 and -1, exactly halfway in the middle. So the vertex has an x-coordinate of -2. We're not interested in the y-coordinate. All we care about is the x-coordinate is -2. So the x-coordinate of the vertex, well, that is -2. Okay, now the question is, which of these 4 intervals contains -2? So let's see what these intervals look like on a number line. If you had a number line, okay, -4 to -3, here's 0. -4 to -3. From here to here, it does not contain -2. So that's not the answer. -3 to +1 would be -3 to +1. That does contain -2. -2 is right here. So this is the answer. And I'll just show that C and D don't work either. 1 to 3 is all up here. 1 to 3. It won't contain a negative number. It won't contain -2. And 3 to 4 is over here. It won't contain negative numbers either. It won't contain -2. So this interval contains -2, and this is the answer. Question 13. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to this? And when you're dividing by x minus 3, you can use either long division or synthetic division. So let me cover both real quick. For long division, you would do x minus 3 here, x squared minus 2x minus 5. And then divide the first term by the first term. X squared divided by x is x, and then x times these two. Let's move this down a little bit. X will times by these two. X times x is x squared, and then x times -3 is -3x. Now we have to subtract, and x squared minus x squared is 0, and then this part we have to do -2x minus -3x. One way to think about it is like this: -2x minus -3x. If this is not too comfortable, this comes out to x. But if this is not too comfortable, one thing we could do is to change all the signs on line 2. So this becomes a negative and this becomes a positive. And then we just combine the columns, just tally it up, add them up together. And this will become x. The -5 will come down, and we keep going. X divided by x is +1. 1 times x is x, change the sign. 1 times -3 is -3, change the sign. And you wind up with -2. So your final answer is x plus 1 with the remainder of -2. You can put it like that: -2 over this x minus 3. And this is going to match option D, so that's the answer. There's also the synthetic division way to do this, and let's cover that. The synthetic division way. So we start with x minus 3, so we put 3 up in the air, and then you write down the coefficients: 1, -2, and -5. 1, -2, -5. Bring the 1 down. 1 times 3 is 3. Combine these, you get a 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Combine these, you get a -2. And this is the remainder. This is the constant. This is x to the first. If we kept going, it would be x to the second, and so on, but there's nothing, but this is it for now. And so the final answer is 1x to the first plus 1 with a remainder of -2. So the remainder is -2 over x minus 3, the initial the initial expression there. And you have, that's the answer, which is D. Question 14. A shipping service restricts the dimensions of the boxes it will ship for a certain type of service. The restriction states that for boxes shaped like rectangular prisms, the sum of the perimeter of the base of the box and the height of the box and the height of the box cannot exceed 130 inches. The perimeter of the base is determined using the width and length of the box. If a box has height of 60, the length is 2.5 times the width, which inequality shows the allowable width x in inches of the box. So what we have is a rectangular prism. So here's the box. Okay. We have the height, which is given to us as 60. And here's the base. So the width is given to us as x. So that's my x. Let me just write that down. This is my x. And the length here is 2.5 times that. So this is 2.5x. And so if we want the perimeter of the base, we will add 2.5x plus another 2.5x, which is 5x so far, plus another x. So that's 6x plus another x, and that's 7x. So let me write that down real quick. The perimeter is 2.5x plus 2.5x plus x plus x, which comes out to 7x. Okay. Now it says the sum of the perimeter and the height cannot exceed 130. So that perimeter that we just figured out was 7x plus the 60, which is the height, has to not exceed 130. And then we have to solve this. So let me clear this up. When you subtract 60 from both sides, you get 7x is less than or equal to 70. Divide by 7x less than or equal to 10. And so that matches option A. What's with the 0 on the left? It's just to show you that x must be a positive number. And they all have that, so we won't worry too much about that. X is a positive number because x was the width of the box, which is always a positive number. Question 15. The expression 1/3 x squared minus 2 can be rewritten as this, where k is a positive number. What is k? Okay, we'll start with this and then we'll expand it over here. 1/3 x minus k and x plus k is equal to 1/3. I'll leave the 1/3 alone and just work on the rest. Now, this is a difference of squares. We have a formula, a squared minus b squared can also be written as a plus b, a minus b. Therefore, this can be written as x squared minus k squared. But I'll also go over how to expand it manually. X minus k, x plus k is x squared plus kx minus kx minus k squared. And these two middle terms will add to 0. So you end up with x squared minus k squared, and that's what I put up there. Okay. So let's clear that out. Now we can distribute this. 1/3 x squared minus 1/3 k squared. Okay, so that's all there. And we are told that that is equivalent to this 1/3 x squared minus 2. So let's put that down. We can of course move this over here. This is equal to 1/3 x squared minus 2. Okay, they both have this 1/3 x squared, so I can subtract the 1/3 x squared away. Oops, let me make that a little neater. Okay, all this is canceled, all this is canceled. You have negative 1/3 k squared equals negative 2. Then you multiply this side by negative 3 and multiply this by negative 3. Oh, let me move this a little bit. Okay, that's better. And you wind up with k squared. Negative and negative cancel. 3 and 1/3 make a 1. So you end up with k squared equals 6. And now, let me rewrite it up here. K squared equals 6. And if you square root both sides, you get k equals plus or minus the square root of 6. So k would have two answers, root 6 or negative root 6. Now, k is a positive constant. So not this, just that, which is why the answer is D. Question 16. If 2x plus 8 equals 16, what's the value of x plus 4? So there are two ways to do this. One way is to solve for x. You subtract 8 from both sides, you get 2x equals 8. You divide by 2, you get x equals 4. But that's not the final answer. They're looking for x plus 4, so let's make sure we add 4 to both sides. And you get x plus 4 is 8. So the answer is 8. Or basically just once you have x equals 4, you plug the 4 into there. And you have 4 plus 4, which is 8. The other way to do this is to divide by 2 instantly. You divide by 2 either this way, or if you prefer, you can do it this way. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. And you wind up with x plus 4 equals 8. And we stop there because that's all they're asking for, x plus 4. So the answer is 8. Question 17. In the figure above, MQ and NR intersect at point P, which is right there. NP equals QP, so NP is here, QP is here, okay. MP equals PR, so MP is this part and PR is this part. What is the measure of angle QMR, which is this angle here? Q to M to R. Okay, so let's calculate this angle here because it's next to the 60. These two must sum to 180. That makes this 120. Now, this triangle MPR, these two are the same length. So what we have is an isosceles triangle. So this angle here is also x. And these three angles must add to 180. So you have x plus 120 must be 180. 2x plus 120 equals 180. Subtract 120, you get 2x equals 60, and x equals 30. Don't worry about the degree symbol. The answer is 30. Question 18. The number of radians in a 720 degree angle can be written as a times pi, where a is a number. What is the value of a? So for that we have to know how many radians are in, how to convert between radians and degrees. So the formula in the packet contains this. It says the number of degrees in a full circle is 360. And the number of radians is 2 pi. So they're telling us 360 degrees converts to 2 pi in radians. Let me put that down here. This is degrees. This is radians. So if you want 720, that's twice as big as 360. You times 2 and you get 720. And here you times 2 as well, and you would get 4 pi. Now they mention it's a pi. Well, a pi is 4 pi. So a is 4. The answer is 4. Question 19. The graph of a line in the xy plane passes through the point 1, 4 and 2, 0. Also, the line crosses the y-axis at the point 0b. What is the value of b? So this is the y-intercept. So there are many ways to do this problem. With the points looking like these, like this, one way to solve it is just to sketch it. And if we sketch this, we can see 4 here, 1, 4. And 2, 0. Here's x, here's y. The line will look like this. It goes through these 2 points, and so on. And you can count where it must cross the y-axis, because from here it's up 4 and then left 1. So we do that again. We go up 4 and left 1. So we must end up at 8. So it goes through the point 0, 8. This particular point is 0, 8, which means b is 8. And another way to solve this is to use the the 2 points, and you find the slope, and you proceed from there. So we can find the slope. M equals, let's remember the slope formula. It's y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So we're going to use these numbers, 4 minus 0 over 1 minus 2, which is 4, over negative 1, which is negative 4. If we know the slope at one point, we can solve for, we can find the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. If we use this point, for instance, you can use either point. You get 0 equals m is this, x is this, plus b. That's 0 equals negative 8 plus b. And then you get b equals 8. So the equation is y equals negative 4x plus 8. And the y-intercept is 8. So the final answer is 8. Question 20. The expression above can be written in the form ay squared plus b, where a and b are constants. What is the value of a plus b? So we have to add those later. Okay, let's just start with what we have. Let's open everything up. So 75, 32 plus 100 y squared plus 10 times 10 is 100, so this is 100 y squared, minus 10 times that is 1100. Okay. And let's combine what we have. We have this and this, which will combine to 200 y squared. And when we combine this and this, we have to subtract 1100 from 7532. So one way to do that is to do it by hand. Minus 1100, and you get 6432. So plus 6432. From there we can see that the a value, which is the coefficient of y squared, is 200, and b is 6432. But they're interested in a plus b, so we add these up, and you get 6632. So that's the final answer, 6632.